Hello there. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Should be fine. Yeah, sure.
Can you hear me now? I don't, okay. My mic was doing something funky. I'm here now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Am I here? Where do you have me for? Am I normal? Okay. Okay, thanks.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
You sound perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for WFMY News 2 at noon on this day after a historic election. I'm Megan Malaris. Battleground North Carolina, for a third consecutive presidential election, has selected former President Donald Trump, a decision that helped catapult him to projected victory in a second term. The former president crossed the 270 mark by taking Wisconsin early this morning. He also won the key battleground states of North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, winning our state by a margin of about 200,000 votes over Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump addressed the nation earlier this morning, even before that 270 became official, from his watch party in West Palm Beach, Florida. With him on stage was former First Lady Melania Trump, his family, and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance.
Just as I did in my first term, we had a great first term, a great first term. I will govern by a simple motto: promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises. Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people. We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again. And I'm asking every citizen all across our land to join me in this noble and righteous endeavor.
Vance also took the stand to share his thoughts.
And under President Trump's leadership, we're never going to stop fighting for you, for your dreams, for the future of your children. And after the greatest political comeback in American history, we're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
Trump also highlighted the success for Republicans in the U.S. Senate, flipping the U.S. Senate by 10 points, 10 seats. CBS News projects the Republicans won control, having called several key races for GOP candidates already. The balance of power projected to shift to Republicans. We are still waiting to hear from Vice President Kamala Harris. She has not yet conceded to Trump and is expected to speak sometime today, according to her campaign chair. We are working to confirm the time and location. Harris was supposed to speak at her alma mater, Howard University, during a watch party there last night, but never took the stage. Once we learn of her plans today, we will bring them to you on air and on WFMY+. It's important to remember all of these results are still unofficial. It will take days to canvass and get those final results in, with the audit set to start here in these next 10 days. And then on January 20th, President-elect Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president at the White House. National security has already announced extra police presence around the Capitol. In another major turn of events, Republicans, as we said, have flipped the Senate this election and are expected to do the same for the U.S. House. This is the first time the GOP has regained Senate control in 4 years. CBS News talked with Stephen Groves of the Associated Press about what this means now that Trump is projected to take the White House for a second term.
The Senate plays a really important role in confirming the president's cabinet. For some of those national security positions, the Senate usually confirms them right after the presidential inauguration on January 20th. The Senate also plays a really important role for judicial nominations, and that will become really clear if there's a vacancy on the U.S. Supreme Court.
North Carolina again split the ticket, so to say, electing a Republican for president, but a Democrat for governor. Let's get into that. This was one to watch, but ultimately it was a runaway win for Josh Stein, current Attorney General, who got a significant lead over challenger Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. Stein secured 54% of the vote.
As we celebrate tonight, our hearts are with the folks of Western North Carolina who are still struggling. Hurricane Helene swept in devastation, destruction, and darkness, but the goodness of North Carolinians shone through.
Stein will be the first Jewish governor of North Carolina. Lieutenant Governor Robinson made a brief speech Tuesday night after the race concluded, saying he was hoping, obviously, for a different turnout. Robinson said despite it all, he has held his head high because he ran a race where he did not have to lie, he said.
I did not have to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars demonizing anyone. I simply traveled this state and told people about my vision.
Robinson did do well in several of those mountain counties, but they were not enough. Robinson said there is still a lot of work to do, and he plans to spend time with his grandchildren before figuring out his next move. It appears Democrat Rachel Hunt, daughter of longtime North Carolina Governor Jim Hunt, will be replacing Mark Robinson as the next lieutenant governor of North Carolina. With 100% of precincts reporting, she leads Republican challenger Hal Weatherman by nearly 2 points, 49 to 47, with 93,000 votes separating the two. The next superintendent of public instruction also is projected. Former Guilford County Schools Superintendent Mo Green defeating Michelle Morrow. This race was one a lot of families with small children of school age were watching, and it was up in the air into late night. Through Green, he took home the victory. The race was close, though, with the superintendent-elect keeping a 119,000 vote lead. If you remember, this race heated up after there was some controversy revealing Morrow had attended the January 6th Capitol riot, but she had said she did not commit any criminal activity there. She also was accused of calling public schools derogatory names. Green remains optimistic for his new position as the state superintendent.
I know what to do. And so it's just a matter then of elevating that to an entire state level. And being sure that we think about the sorts of things that are necessary to improve student outcomes, which includes certainly trying to request more funding for our public schools, elevating our educators, certainly engaging those parents and other community members in this work.
A part of his platform has been supporting increasing teacher pay and improving school safety and literacy instruction. Morrow released a statement this morning after her projected loss. She did not formally concede, but talked of her disappointment in the results. She also attributed Green's win to his campaign funding and help he received, she said, from, quote, special interest groups. In her statement, she wrote, quote, "Our new superintendent made it very clear throughout his campaign that he has no intention of changing anything. His mantra was celebrate the current system as it is. I will celebrate when our children are safe and common sense, discipline, and hope are restored for our students," end quote. She concluded her statement by saying her campaign was not about winning, rather about the children. Let's look at some important congressional races for North Carolina. Guilford County will have 3 new representatives in D.C. Some common faces, though. Longtime Republican Representative Virginia Foxx is the projected winner of U.S. House District 5. The hotly contested District 6 race, which covers High Point and was redistricted, has a projected winner. Trump-backed lobbyist Addison McDowell took votes over his third-party challenger. McDowell all but locked up this seat in the primary, remember, when former Congressman Mark Walker opted not to have a runoff for that close race and instead joined the Trump campaign. Incumbent Kathy Manning did not run because of redistricting. She felt it was impossible for her to win her seat again. In U.S. House District 9, incumbent Richard Hudson is cruising to victory. His new boundaries include eastern Guilford County, plus all of Alamance and Randolph. He has been in office more than a decade. Now let's look at an effort on the ballot to amend the state constitution, largely just a formality here. When you casted your ballot, you saw a question at the bottom asking about who should be able to vote. Voters passed this measure requiring that only U.S. citizens can vote. 78% of voters were for this amendment. But to be clear, this is already state and federal law. This amendment just removed the word naturalized citizens, but by law, naturalized citizens can vote. In Guilford County, voters voted no on a sales tax increase. 60% of voters said no. Voters rejected the measure several times in recent elections. The county wanted to use the extra revenue to give teachers raises. Representatives for the cause say they are going to keep fighting for that in the future to help teachers and frontline workers. WFMY News 2's Giselle Thomas has been out and about throughout Greensboro this morning, asking voters what you thought of the election results. Giselle, you said there has been a lot of enthusiasm overall.
Yes, now there's been a lot of enthusiasm on all sides of the aisle. Now, I've been all around Greensboro today. I've went over to LeBauer Park, then going throughout downtown Greensboro, but there was one place that had people of all different sides. I was able to speak to Republicans, Democrats, even independents, and they were all doing one thing that we all have to do several times a day, and that's eating food. I met them over at Jake's Diner on West Wendover, and one man told me that when he woke up this morning, he was in utter shock hearing about Donald Trump getting into the presidential election and getting re-elected.
Thought I was still having a nightmare because I dreamed that he won. And then when I woke up and saw your news coverage on Channel 2, and I realized it wasn't a nightmare, that he actually was back in.
Now, there are some people who say that they're hoping the switch will bring a change. I spoke to a man who runs several small businesses in the Triad, and he's hoping that it can be a change for the economy.
I deal with a lot of small businesses that are hurting, and I just want, again, I want everybody to be whole, and I want them to stay in business. And right there, they're struggling for many reasons. A lot of it's cost of goods. A lot of it's cost of goods due to how much it cost for the cost of goods to get to them. And I think that's going to get better.
Now, it was really interesting hearing from people talk about just their thoughts on the presidential election. The main thing that people talked about was just the fact that this is a change, whether they're happy or not about it. But another thing was just the quickness of how we were able to get a presidential elect so soon. Live in Greensboro, Giselle Thomas, WFMY News 2.
Right, coming up, we'll dig into these results and what counties did candidates do well. Our coverage continues right after this break.
And clouds across the Piedmont right now with a few peaks of sunshine as we go through the afternoon. We should warm up into the mid and upper 70s. Still keeping an eye out for a sprinkle or an isolated shower over the next day or two, but we'll look ahead at a cool down on the way by the weekend coming up. All right, 12:14 right now on this Wednesday afternoon. Plenty of cloud cover still lingering across the Piedmont, but we do have some sunshine trying to peek out, and it's a little breezy this afternoon too. Really, honestly, feels good to be outside, although a little warm for the month of November. Maybe you felt a couple of sprinkles on the windshield, or maybe walking outside today. We had some fog and some clouds and a couple of sprinkles early this morning. Those are pretty much gone by the wayside right now. Take a look. Temperatures sitting in the low 70s for us now and pretty much dry across the Piedmont. Other than the cloud cover, there could still be a couple of showers that form across our area later this afternoon. You'll notice most of those, though, are down to our south, South Carolina and Georgia especially, and of course a bigger chunk of rain with our cold front back to the west. But what you notice is that over time here, that rain is really fizzling out, and that's not really going to reach us. So other than some extra clouds and the occasional shower, we're pretty much mainly going to stay dry as we go through our Thursday. Biggest chunk of rain over the next 24 hours really will be down across South Carolina and Georgia, and a few of those showers may make it into our southern counties late tonight and through the day tomorrow, so there will be a slightly better rain chance there, but in the immediate triad, mostly going to be staying dry as we go through this afternoon and into our Thursday as well. By Friday, we are expecting fully dry weather to return with a little more sunshine. And then behind a cold front, we start to cool it down for the weekend. High temperatures for Saturday and Sunday will be back down in the upper 60s.
Former President Donald Trump is 3 for 3 in securing North Carolina as a battleground win. This time he had his largest margin of the last 3 election cycles, beating Kamala Harris by nearly 200,000 votes, a far bigger margin than he did just 4 years ago when the race was between him and President Joe Biden. And that is interesting because the same momentum that catapulted him to victory here did not translate in the North Carolina governor's race, even with Mark Robinson's endorsement from Trump early on in the campaign. Now, granted, that endorsement came before the scandal with the CNN article, which analysts do not believe helped Robinson at all. Stein leading this by about 14 points, even though, as I mentioned earlier, Robinson did do well in a lot of these 25 Helene-affected counties, which had a large voter turnout, in fact, larger than the rest of the state. So we once again split the ticket here in North Carolina. A Republican for president, a Democrat for governor, but also a projected Democrat for lieutenant governor with Rachel Hunt, as we've been seeing her leading Hal Weatherman by about 2 points so far, and also for attorney general. What's really interesting about this highly publicized race between Jeff Jackson and Dan Bishop is that these are both current U.S. Congress members representing North Carolina. They opted not to seek re-election for Congress in their respective districts. Jackson likely due to redistricting and his district swinging Republican now. But I talked with an analyst earlier about why they would want to go from Washington back to the state level. And he said there's oftentimes just something about being home, wanting to work in your home state, representing the people who live here firsthand, seeing what they need day in and day out. Also, this attorney general's position is often a stepping stone to the governor's mansion, as we have seen with Governor Cooper and now Governor-elect Josh Stein. Much more analysis to come when we come back. Now that the presidential race is over, we'll also look at what happens to unused campaign money. Our National Verify team explains next. New at noon, stocks are surging right now on Wall Street, with investors appearing to feel hopeful about a second Trump term. Right now, the Dow is up about 1,300 points, and Bitcoin's price jumped to a record $75,000 when the markets opened. Financial analysts say the bank stocks are doing well in anticipation of less restrictive regulations under a Trump term. Renewable energy stocks, though, fell with the assumption Trump will dismantle some of President Joe Biden's climate change prevention efforts. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump raised hundreds of millions of dollars for their campaigns. So what happens to any money left over now that the race is projected in Trump's favor? Our Brandon Lewis from Verify explains.
The 2024 presidential race is expected to break spending records once all the calculations are finished. And many people are asking Google if the candidates can do whatever they want with any unspent money that was donated to the campaigns. So let's verify. Our sources are the Federal Election Commission, the Federal Register, and the Center for Public Integrity. All of our sources say the laws about unspent cash are pretty specific, and it can't just go into the candidate's personal bank account or towards personal expenses. Candidates can use the money to wind down their campaigns, like settling outstanding bills and paying the cost of closing offices. The Federal Election Commission says candidates can also give donors a refund, donate the money to charity, or pass the money on to national, state, or local political party committees. Or they might decide to just hold on to it for potential future campaigns. So, no, presidential candidates cannot do whatever they want with leftover campaign funds. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Well, a warm afternoon with a bit of a breeze right now in the News 2 weather garden. That feels good. Up to mid-70s this afternoon. Enough sunshine peeking out. We could get into the upper 70s, and then we'll keep a low chance of an isolated shower in the forecast this afternoon. And again tomorrow for your Thursday, although that better chance will be south of the immediate tryout. We're dry with more sunshine back for our Friday. Still into the low 70s in the work week, and then we cool it down into the 60s for the weekend.
It is beautiful out here.
It's gorgeous out
Could
here.
use a little rain though.
Yeah, we could.
I do want to mention, we can officially confirm Vice President Kamala Harris is set to address the nation at 4 o'clock from her alma mater, Howard University, where there was a watch party last night. She has not at this point conceded to former President Trump in the presidential race. So we'll bring that to you live on air and on WFMY Plus, streaming on Fire, Roku, and Apple TV.
Great.
Have a good day.
See you later.
The WFMY News 2 at noon is sponsored by First Horizon Bank. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way.